First thing, I'll just note down everything that we are putting over there. I'll just go and create one database, which I would be calling it as the database one, which is nothing but the source database. I'll be having something as DB2, which would be nothing but the target database. What we would be doing is we would be going and having the data inside my DB1. So DB1 would be having certain database, obviously. It would be having certain amount of tables, and this is all inside DB1. Next, we'll go and perform the migration activity, whatever it is. And if everything goes good, my DB2 should also have the database and the tables available inside it. This is what the end objective of our activity would be. So first, DB1, it can be any source database. I would be putting it inside RDS only, but no worries. Inside your actual client location, you can go and put it as your normal on-prem infrastructure also. We are going to talk about it a lot actually, because it all depends on the IP address, the source code, and the port number that can be changed. We are going to talk about it during that. But DB1 is this, DB2 is this. The main thing inside this is going to be our migration activity actually. How are you going to perform this specific migration activity? So this migration activity will be built up of three parts. One would be your source endpoint. Second would be your target endpoint. Target endpoint. Third would be your replication instance. Anything if you don't understand after I complete this, let me know. I can repeat it, no worries. And the fourth would be actual migration task. Now, what does this mean actually? This simply means I would be creating database one, and my client will tell me that, see, Ankit, I want to migrate this database to this new database. When the client says I want to migrate this database to a new database, it means they want to migrate DB1 to DB2. So whatever tools you use, whatever activities you use, at the end of the day, whatever is inside DB1 should be available inside DB2, as we have already seen over here in the write-up that I have given. Next, to perform this activity, DB1 and DB2 should already be existing. That is pretty obvious also. Next, if I have to perform this migration activity is actually done by some specific application of AWS. That application is known as DMT, or Database Migration Task. In a nutshell, this migration task is going to go take the data from DB1 and somehow it is going to go and put it inside DB2. How it is doing? It is AWS's worry. We don't have to go inside that. From my perspective, if I go and start this migration task, AWS will automatically take the data from DB1 and put it inside DB2. Now you say, I want to know what actually happens inside it. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you. The reason for that is, if you only have to do, then you don't even need AWS and you don't even need database migration service. So that is a pretty invalid question, that what actually happens inside it. So if you are using this service, migration will happen. So first thing, you have to go and create a migration task, and migration task will go from DB1, put the data inside DB2. How will that happen? For that, obviously, I have to go and create a connection with the source database, which is DB1. That would be your endpoints over here. So for that, I have something known as a source endpoint. And obviously, I would be taking the data from source database or source endpoint, and I would be putting it inside target endpoint. Once I do that, the data should automatically show up inside my DB2 or target database. Last thing, this migration task has to run somewhere, right? Inside some server, inside some machine. That machine would be replication instance. Once again, source database DB1, I have to move the data to DB2. I create a connection with DB1. I call it as source endpoint, from where I have to fetch the data. I have to put the data in DB2, or I have to put the data in target endpoint. Next, to perform this activity, AWS would be doing something known as a migration task or a database migration task, DMT. I call it as migration task because DMS is not the only migration. You also have application migration service. You also have server migration services, you have multiple migration services. So that is why I call it in a generic name, which is migration task. Next, and the most important thing for you, who will do migration? AWS. Where will it do the migration? Using a specific server, which is known as replication instance. Why did I tell you this complete story? The reason for this is this thing, replication instance, is going to take a lot of time. If I want the class to go on for 2 hours, no, I will go and create DB1. It will take around 10 minutes. DB2, which will take around 10 minutes. Then create source endpoint will take 1 minute tops. Target endpoint, 1 minute top. Migration task, unfortunately, cannot happen unless you have your replication instance created. So this one, or replication instance, is required. This thing, unfortunately, I also don't know how much time it's going to take. Can take anywhere from 20 minutes to 30 minutes to 1 hour. So first thing that you would do inside migration would be, you would be going and creating a replication instance. That is what I am going to do. While I would be creating it, I will also go and create DB1, DB2, and I will completely explain you what it all means. First thing first, create a replication instance. This replication instance, the beauty of this is you don't have to worry about it. What happens inside it, how it happens, none of your concern. You just tell me that if you want to create a server, how much CPU and how much RAM you need. If you say I will take only one CPU or two CPU, 1 GB RAM, obviously migration will take a lot of time. So that migration, which should happen in 1 hour, will happen in 8 hours. If you take it very big, that is also bad. I will generally keep it like 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM, which should be pretty good for me. So let's give it a name. I am calling it as, let's say, db-mig, db-mig or migration. And I am taking 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM. If you want to give a name, you can give it friendly name. If you want to give a description, you can give it. I leave it as blank. The reason is when we talk about this DMS, no, again, I go back to Terraform, DMS endpoints. Once I do this, I will strongly expect you to go and work on DMS. So basically what you would be doing is you would be creating an instance, endpoints, and these things. Anyways, why I came over here was I told I don't give description because you are actually working with Terraform, and Terraform has the concept of tags. That is why I don't give descriptions inside the console. Anyways, you can choose any version you want. I am taking 347, which is the latest one, and multi-AZ. See, multi-AZ is pretty easy to understand. I am putting it inside a single availability zone. Means this database replication instance or this server is only inside one data center or one availability zone. Problem is if that goes down, what will happen? Problem for me. Migration activity will stop. But actually, you see, honestly, it's not an issue. Data center will go down for how much time? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, fine. After the data center or AZ is back up, it will again resume. So that, you see, honestly is not a problem, but people say that please make it production. And in your company also, you will say you worked on multi-AZ or multiple AZ instances. The concept here is you should not take T type of an instance or a burstable instance. Why not to take burstable? Tomorrow, means in your class, I would reach EC2. Then I will tell you, if you are impatient, tomorrow 8 a.m. class is going to be there, IST. Sit over there. There I would be talking about a burstable instance, you can see. So this error will straight away go off if you go for anything like this. It will go off. Okay, it is only saying cribbing because you are taking a T type of instance. But my budget is low, so I have to take a T type of instance anyways. Right now, I would be creating a small database, so I am pretty happy with DevOps test workload, single availability zone only. How much storage you want to give, you can give, pretty self-explanatory. Remember this storage, no, even if you give less or more, it doesn't matter. The only job of this activity is to take the data from source, put it to target. But still, some softwares are running inside that machine, right? What softwares? I don't know. It doesn't bother me even. It is AWS's responsibility. But generally keep it at 50 to 100 GB. Next one over here, network type. If you go, You want it for IPv4 or for IPv6, whichever you want. If you want it for IPv6, in that case, take this one. My one is all about single network, so it is all about IPv4. Next one, maintenance window. If you want to go and choose maintenance, so basically servers are going to reboot and all those things are going to happen inside the machine at that point of time. So if you want to do that, you can do it. But actually you see it's not required much. The reason for that is pretty easy. Migration activity only happens once in lifetime. Once done, it is all completed. So why do you want to keep this server up and running? For that reason, you don't have anything as maintenance window, but nonetheless, big activity, you can keep it. And if everything is done, just click on create replication instance. And once this is done, just hold on for quite some time now. It's going to take a lot of time. We will come back to this in some time once we are done with our RDS or relational databases. Let's get started. Any question till now on what we did? RDS, I am doing now, but on this, if you have any question, you can ask.
Yes, Ankit, I got a question.
Yeah.
Like when we transfer the data, does the middle instance, does it like say if we have 50 GB of data in our main database, and does it take all the data 50 GB or
No, it's
does
streaming.
it
Streaming happens actually. That's the short answer. Streams. That is why I told you that even if the server goes down, not an issue, because the streaming will stop when it is up, it will again resume from that place.
Okay.
Okay. So it is not like a snapshot I take and put it in my intermediate machine, then I copy paste there. No, it is streaming data. That is why I have concept of endpoints.
Okay. And one more thing, like say when we were migrating, like I had worked with one project where we were migrating, we were actually migrating a Kubernetes cluster. So applications were done on Kubernetes basically. So now our thing was that we needed everything live. So yeah, so does this happen here as well?
It can happen. It can happen. But remember, see, if you are migrating the data, short answer is yes, it happens live, real time. I'll show that to you. Long answer is migration. If you are doing live, remember you have to point to target endpoint. One application can only point to one endpoint at a moment, right?
Yeah.
So live is not a question only then. Understood what I said? If I am application, I can either point to source or to target.
Okay.
Right. So anyhow, everything is live only by that perspective.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
But yes, your answer is it is live. Happens at the same time with zero downtime.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so another question, then let's resume. Like I said, this I also don't know. Today I started at 4:18. We will keep a count of it. 4:15 rather we started. We'll see. I'll place my bet at somewhere around 20 to 25 minutes. It should come up. Anyways, let's resume with our RDS or relational databases. Those of you who have done RDS in the previous class might want to skip it for some time. But before I go there, Falcon, you had a question, and the question was that what if I want to migrate the data? And I said streaming data, right? Streaming data is true in one case, but what you said in case of Kubernetes actually is applicable over here inside RDS in one place. I didn't do S3, so I didn't talk about this. Anyhow, I'll come later, but in a nutshell, the data that I have, is it important that I only use DMS, database migration service? No. I will go to my database and I will say that do a thing, give me a bulk or give me a snapshot, or I will go inside my database. Now, by the way, the things that I am going to tell you will all be present inside the repository of and like if you go over here, my repositories, and I would be today talking about MySQL. Okay. In a nutshell, what it means is I have my complete data, which I have in database, which I have installed. Next thing, I want to go and take a dump of my database. Whole dump of my database goes inside a specific file, which is .sql. If you are interested in how it looks like, I believe I have already kept it over here. So this is how the backup actually looks like. This is for a small database, but nonetheless, this is how it will look like. Now this bulk data, this is a SQL file only, right? Some assume it's a text file. If it's a text file, I can place it inside S3. So instead of using this DMS, which in itself is a pretty expensive service, I will just go to my source database. I will say run this command. Take a dump, all the databases, put it inside this specific file. Once I have the dump of it inside this file, I will place it inside my S3 bucket, any S3 bucket, whichever you want. Next step, when I go to my database, I will say, don't create, rather restore. From where? S3. S3 is where is the dump of this file. I will go simply point it to that database, rather to the bucket, this bucket, and I will tell the file name. The only problem in this case is I only have two options, MySQL and Aurora. So in case you are you happen to work with MySQL or Aurora, then to everything is good for you. No issues. But in case you are working RDS, we will shortly realize has 6 databases. MariaDB, PostgreSQL, very heavily used, Oracle database, and MS SQL. So in case you are working on those databases, then you don't have an option. Then you only have to work with DMS or database migration service. But in case you did happen to work with MySQL, yes, you do have an option where you can import the data with S3. And yes, in this case, it is not streaming of data. Rather, it takes the objects, or how we call it as a object storage or object store. It picks up from that object store from S3, keeps it, actually will download it to its local, put it inside RAM, and then migrate. So in a nutshell, it will take the data from S3, put it inside local, and then migrate the data to my RDS instance. If you understood this, good for you. If you didn't understand, that is also fine, because rarely people work in migration from S3. Reason is, anyhow, I have to only, this is not an option Aurora, honestly. Aurora is nothing but AWS's implementation. No one uses Aurora anyways. So in that case, you have only one option of MySQL database. So yes, you can use S3 for migration also, but only one database. Having said that, let's go ahead and talk about my RDS or relational databases. Now, I'm not sure if Harsha told you, but I would be talking in the same class, if in case you happen to take that class, about Azure. Inside Azure, when I take the classes, I am going to talk about Cosmos DB. Okay, so Cosmos DB, whenever we talked about NoSQL, MongoDB, Cassandra, Gremlin, Postgres, and this thing, the same thing I am going to tell you in Cosmos DB as well. So understand it either inside AWS or understand it in Azure. Concept remains the same across any cloud provider in the world. Let's proceed then. So what is RDS? First thing, even before I go there, let me go and talk about this EC2. A short story about EC2, then we will go with RDS. You see, I can always go and create a server with only a specific database also. I am looking for specific databases like MySQL. AWS will say, yes, I have it inside marketplace. Give me the amount and you can go and take MySQL database. You say, I want PostgreSQL. Yes, you can go and get a server of PostgreSQL itself. Just click on select. It will tell you about the pricing, whatever is the pricing of that. Click on continue. And yes, you can go and create this server yourself. But the problem, pay attention now. You are creating the server. So you are responsible for the security. You are responsible to take a backup. You are responsible for encryption. If something happens to the server, you have to restore the data from the backup. You have to take a continuous backup every second. You have to take a weekly backup and a monthly backup. If there is an update to the databases software right now, PostgreSQL, let's take an example. Okay, Postgres and SQL. And let's go and open the wiki page of it. Right now, the version of PostgreSQL is version 15.1. Okay. Earlier, it would be 15.0, 14.9, blah, 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 whatever it is. Doesn't bother me that much. But version 14, version 15, version 13, all these versions are actually coming up. So you have 12, 13, 13, 9. It is not 39. It would have started at 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 15.1. 15.2 comes. You have to go, remember, you created the server. You have to go and upgrade. If there is a software update, security update, patch, hotfix, you have to do. Something wrong happens in the hotfix, you have to do a revert or a rollback. If everything is good, go and propagate it to the next database. You have to worry about the security. You have to worry who has the access. If you have to migrate, you have to take the backup of it. See the problem? Everything you have to do. So why do I need a cloud then? So what cloud people like AWS in RDS and Azure in Cosmos DB and in MySQL DB, in SQL databases rather, said, you don't worry about that. You just tell me what database you need. MySQL. Okay, let's start. They said, what do you need? You tell me. MySQL you need. Okay. They said, what do you need? By the way, there is one more thing, easy create also. I'm not going to tell you easy create, because easy create, you don't have to do only anything. Click here, click on create database, done. Then what are you learning? So I will take it the difficult way, standard create. AWS said, what do you need? MySQL, fine. Which version you need? I say 5733. Fine. Tell me what type of environment you need. Free tier, dev test or production. I will say I want to work on production. Fine. See, I will create one database at a time, because one database is always active at a moment, especially with SQL databases. Do you want me to create two? Why two? If one goes down, what will happen? So in that case, if you want me to do, just select this. Don't want, create single instance. Next, tell me name of my database. I am following this words over here, db1 source database, right? I am saying I will call it as db1. Fine. Give me the username, give me the password, and give me the password. Done. What type of machine you need? I said that, see, I think I need a T4 or T3 large, actually 2 CPU 8 GB RAM. Okay, fine. What type of storage you need? I say I think I need a general purpose machine that should work for me. How much storage? I think 20 GB should be good. But in case I need more than 20 GB, fine. AWS will automatically upgrade. 20 becomes 21, 22, 23, 24, up till 1000. If it reaches 1000, no worries. In that case, AWS will automatically go and create an alarm or a notification for me. Next, now these things are new actually. Now this thing is pretty easy. For the reason for that is, if I have a EC2 instance, rather, let me go and create that first for you. So even before I go to RDS, now first thing, remember how I started the class. DB1 has to go to DB2. How will I prove to you that DB1 is there and DB2 is there? You will say you are creating database, I can see. But what is the data inside DB1? Can I show that to you? The answer is no. So how will I show the data of a database to you? So I need to make a connectivity with the database. How will I make a connectivity? For that, I am just creating a stupid machine that will have nothing. It will simply have MySQL installed. From there, I will connect with DB1, and from there, I will connect DB2, and I will show you. So when I connect to DB1, it will not have any data. We will start to add data. Then I will connect to DB2. DB2 will not have any data. Then I will start the migration activity. Then again, I will connect with DB2. And then ideally, whatever data is inside DB1 should automatically show up inside DB2. So this machine is nothing but a test machine, so that I can prove to you that whatever I told you is valid. Let's start. I will just go and create one simple instance. I will call it as MySQL. And I am taking Ubuntu and an old machine of Ubuntu, which is, which one do I take? 18. And this anyhow can be T3A medium. The reason for that is this machine is not doing anything at all. So next, let's go and take a key pair, and fine, I'm good with it, and launch. And I will let this machine come up. In the meantime, let's go here. Very fast it happened. Acha. If this happened very fast, migration will happen in the next 10 to 20 minutes only. Let's start. Step 1, here, connect. So how do I show that to you? What I am doing over here is I am just breaking my screen into two parts. Why? It will be easy for you. On the left, I will make a connection with DB1. On the right, I will make a connection with DB2. That's it. How? Pay attention. First thing that I will do is I want to install MySQL inside it. Else, how will I make a connection? For that, run the commands. Done. Next, install MySQL. This MySQL is not doing anything, honestly. This you see now will simply connect with my RDS instances. Let it connect. In the meantime, I jump back to RDS. Now, if you have this now, why I did all that, now this instance will come up. Now AWS has made it even easy for you. Don't do anything, just select a drop down and automatically it will change. I don't want to do it that easy. I will say don't do, I will create it myself only. If you select, this is a new option, by the way. If you do it, no, nothing is required. It will automatically start to work. Anyways, I am selecting don't connect and I want it on IPv4. Next, I want to give it the public access for some time. Why? Obviously, migration has to happen. That's why. If I don't give the connectivity, how will I connect to it? Next up, it requires the password. Good for me. Performance insights I don't need. If you want, you can put it. In short, it means AWS will tell you what can you do to make the machine better. It will cost me $145 a month, $5 a day. I have to create 2 instances. Straight away, $10 it will cost me. Anyways, I will go and create a database, which actually becomes my source database, DB1. Next, similarly, I will go and create DB2 very fast. Let's do it. Just remember the sequence of a step. That is important. Anything you do wrong, nothing will happen, as in it will not work. You will go and view the video, do it again, it will work. That's it. Single DB instance. This one I will call it as DB2. Password I am keeping as password. Password I am keeping as password. This one also I am putting it as TIP3 large. Now I want it GB2 and 20 GB should be good. IPv4, I'm having want a public access, obviously. It will do it via the password. I am good for it. I don't want any insights. I don't want to know if my database is working good or not. I don't want that. If I need it, I will automatically go and create my own alarms. Okay, so here again the same pricing anyways, and I click on create database. So now what has happened is it will go and create 2 databases, DB1, DB2. Next, what I will do is from this machine, if you see both the machines are same, 172.31.11.156. From this machine, I will connect with DB1, and from this machine, I will connect to DB2. Then I will create some data in DB1 and I will run migration. Then the same thing which is on the left screen should come up on the right screen as well. How will that happen? Let's go try it out. First one, DB1, I have to actually connect with something known as an endpoint. It is not coming up till now. Fair enough, no worries. While it is coming up, let's go back to our DMS or database migration service. So now pay attention. This thing is in progress. This thing is in progress. Source endpoint, again, I am starting to do now. Target endpoint, I will start to do now. This one is already done. Okay, so next I have to create source endpoint and the target endpoint and see how easy it is. If you understand the activity, then it's pretty straightforward. Let me just refresh it once. This hasn't come up, no endpoint. It means it is still creating. This hasn't come up, it means it is still creating. Let it happen. Yes, question.
Yes, Ankit. As if I have understood correctly, then we have created 2 RDS databases.
Correct.
And we have started one, this database migration service. We have created one instance there.
Just created it so that because I know it will take time.
Yeah. Correct. And why did we create an EC2 instance and you are downloading the
good EC2 instance? Fine. I am telling you stories that DB1 data will go to DB2. Yeah. But your question is, where is DB1? RDS, but what is the data inside DB1? How will I prove that to you? So for that, I need to connect with the databases, right? So for
Okay.
that, I am using that instance. And you
But
can
that,
use SQL Workbench for that.
so that DB1 is not currently on-premise database.
No, it is not on-prem. But anyhow, it is the same thing. No, it will have IP address, port number, and the username and the password. That's it. But it is a database only at the end of the day. Because what is a database? Nothing but a server which is having four things: IP address or the endpoint, the port number, username, and the password. I am using everything in AWS only. That's it. It
No, I
can be
got your
on-prem
point. I
also.
got that point. But
Yep.
why we're creating that
EC2 instance. EC2
Yeah.
instance. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever is done by SQL Workbench, right?
Yeah.
So, SQL developer.
Mm-hmm.
So SQL developer, for that I am using EC2 instance. Because I am not doing anything on my local machine. I am doing everything on the cloud only.
Okay.
No, didn't understand. Fine. I created this DB1. I have to go inside DB1, right?
Yeah.
To go and add the data. How will I go inside DB1? For that, I need EC2.
Okay.
Right? DB1, I will make a connectivity with DB1 by this
So
endpoint.
with new EC2, you are just dumping the data
Correct.
for the
Exactly.
initial, like it will be
Exactly.
one part.
Exactly. And from same EC2, I will show you that it works in DB2. That's it.
Okay.
That is why in the beginning I said it is a stupid instance. It is not doing anything. It is only a placeholder for you so that I can prove that whatever stories I told you are actually valid.
Got it. Okay, fine.
Okay. Cool. So this is done. See, whenever this works, just always anyhow by this also you can know if it is connected or not via this connections or something. And once you start seeing endpoint, means the things have started. DB2 also you are seeing endpoint. Good. So let's go back. Source endpoint, target endpoint. Let's not put in progress because I want to go and add some data inside DB1. So let's make a connectivity with my DB1. Click here, and how will you make a connectivity actually? For that, let's go here and make a connectivity. How? The command, first of all, see if MySQL is installed. Yes, it doesn't give me not installed. No, so everything is good, fine. MySQL, I will say username that I have selected is admin. Password, I am going to tell you. The endpoint of that database is this. Endpoint is this. The port number is 3306. Done. It will ask me for the password. Password I have entered. That's bad. And it's, oh, I forgot to give host name. -H. Done. How I knew, it said admin at the rate of localhost. That is how I knew that something I have missed out. If everything is good, I have actually connected to it. And if you pay attention, 5733. If you go back to databases over here and you refresh it, it will start to show you CPU utilization. Anyways, I have connected with the database. Similarly, I will go and connect with database 2 also. How? Same thing, MySQL -u, username is admin, port number, the password I will give you. Host name is nothing but my DB2, and DB2 is what? This. Paste it here. This. I will tell the port number of this is 3306. Password I have given, and this I have connected with database 2. This is DB1, this is DB2. By the way, pretty easy. This oh, very good. Name is also good. Crap. QD. Okay. OZV. This is db1.crap. So this is database 1. This is database 2. But I need to add some data also, right? So how will I add for that? I will just go and show documentation in front of you only. MySQL, let's say insert data. And I will take reference of MySQL documentation only. You don't have to worry about this. I'm just proving it to you, so I am doing. So what I want is, I want this. I want to add that. Insert into MySQL. table. Okay, version 5.7. So it is telling me do a thing, create database this, done. Then click over here, use, done. And then if you go next over here, you will click on show tables. It says nothing. Show tables over here will say no database selected. So if you go and do the same thing over here, no, use this, it will say unknown database. Remember, right is target. Target, I am not doing anything. I am only doing inside source. So if this thing I run in source, it will say, yes, I am good. If this thing you run inside target, it will say, no, I don't know only what this thing is. For that reason only, I will do the migration. Anyways, I did this. Database changed. Good for me. I clicked on show tables. Here, it says I don't have any table. This anyhow will error out. It will say first you have to select the database. And databases, so I don't have also. So over here, by the way, you can also do over here, show database. Database or databases is there. If you do that, it is telling you how many databases are there. Actually, 6 databases. If you do the same thing over here, come on, it says 5 database. The only difference in database is Minagri. So source 1 has, source 2 doesn't. I will perform the migration and this thing also should have the data. Anyways, right now I'm interested in creating a table. This, done. Next, I want to go and add some data inside the table. This one, remember, is my RDS SQL. No, you can go and add the same data 5 times, 6 times, however you want. And if you do select star from pet, it will say, yes, I have the data. And how many records are there? 6. Same thing you run over here. Anyhow, it will error out because first of all, the database itself is not there. Last time I am repeating the statement. So the moment I start to see this inside this, I will say, yes, my migration has been successful. The moment I do show databases, here it says how many? 6. The moment here also it starts to say 6, it means it is good. So, or the moment I start to see this database over here, it is good. Eventually, you will realize it will not show you 6, it will show you 7. The reason for that is AWS will add its own temporary database over here. But that's fine for me. My important thing is this database and these records should also show up inside the target database. That's it. Now let's complete migration. Pay attention, will take sharp 4 to 8 minutes and migration would be done. As simple as that. Let's start. So what I have to do is I have to create this part. Database 1 is done. Database 2 is done. Source endpoint I have to create. How? Select endpoint, create endpoint, source. And source is my RDS. Acha. If it is not RDS, no worries. Just go and tell me these things. What is the IP address? What is the port number? All those things. If you give me, you can go and add source database also. In my case, it is RDS. So I'm just selecting and I am saying DB1. Everything is good over here. And I will give this. Now, if you are not using RDS, provide manually, give the IP address, port number, username, and the password. My password happens to be password only. And click on create endpoint. Boom, one part is done. So this part is done. Next, target endpoint. Let's start. So let's write it down over here. Create endpoint. This is my target, my RDS. It is DB2. And I will just go and give the password, which is password itself, and create endpoint. Boom, done. 2 endpoints done. Now comes the last activity where I have to go and perform the migration task. How? Again, pay attention. Database migration task, create a task. Give a name for this. Let's call it as MySQL. Replication instance will happen with what I created, which was point number 3. Source endpoint is this one, DB1, if you remember. Target endpoint is this, which is DB2. And I will say go and migrate everything. Now, if you are in a hurry and you click on create task, boom, nothing happens. The reason for that is you have to select a rule, and the rule actually comes here, this small thing. Click here and say that, see, I want to migrate everything. Whatever is there, just go and migrate everything. I am good with it. And click on create task over here. Wait, let's do it again. MySQL, the source becomes DB1, target becomes DB2, and migrate everything. Blah, blah, blah. And selection rules. Select this, and create. Done. Migration completed. Now, this will take time. For that reason, if you make a connection over here, no, it will still say 5, it will still say 6. Show databases. It says 6, it says 5. The moment my migration is completed, this will also start to show you 6. Now, unfortunately, you can't do anything. You will only have to wait. Let's wait for that to happen. In some time, in around 10 minutes, we will come back and we will see this also has this database and this also has the new database. But let's utilize the time till that much time to go and understand more things in RDS. Let it happen. It will take its own sweet time. Let's go back to our RDS. By the way, quick one. This instance, you want to modify the password. Very easy. Click on modify here. Give the new password over here, new password over here. Done. Your client says 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM is not cutting for me. Go and please change it. Fine. Select and select whatever instance type you require. Ideally, it is always R5 large. Always R5 large only. Never T3 large. So client says R5 large, my budget is more, performance is slow. You will say, fine, move R5 large to R6 large. Or sorry, R5 large to R6A large, or R5 large to R5 2X large. Done. Select that. It is upgraded from 2 CPU 16 GB RAM to 4 CPU 32 GB RAM. Done. They say performance storage has to be more. You will say, no worries, the storage auto scaling anyhow was there. But no, I need more. 1000 has been full. I need 2000. Fine. Make it 2000. Yeah. Okay. I want a replication instance, do it. I want IPv4 IPv6, do it. I want password, do it. I want to have the monitoring, do it. And the moment you do it, just click on continue over here. And that's it. It will ask you for two things, basically. It will ask you that whether you want to do it now or you want to do it on the next scheduled windows. Anyways, boom, done. This one has Minagri. Target also has Minagri database, which means earlier, if you remember, if I did use over here, I did use Minagri, it gave me error, right? Unknown database. Do the same thing here. Done. Okay. Now database changed. Earlier, when I did select star from pet, it gave me error, right? No database selected because database was not there. Done. If I do it over here, done. Left is source, right is target, migration completed in 45-minute tops. That's it. This is how easy migration is. Now, if you want to see how it is, click on MySQL, click on table statistics. It will tell you that, yes, I saw these table, these table, these table, all these tables were there. The important table for me is pet. I go to pet table and I see that, yes, it took less than 1 second. Everything was migrated. Whatever, how many records were there? 6 records were there, indeed, right? 6. Now, if you say, what is these all tables, column, priv, and this, nothing for you to know, but just if you want to know, you see database is managing the data, right? How for the tables you are creating, but database has to manage itself also. How will it manage itself? It will go and create its own tables. These are those tables. That's pretty much it. In reality, you just don't migrate the data, you migrate these things also. So for that reason, you can go and use DMS to go and work. This in nutshell is how you perform migration from source to target. Now, what are the errors that might happen? DMS over here, it errors out. It is saying I was not able to do it. And if you see, it took how much time? 1 minute. This is a false alarm, basically. Now, if you go inside that and if you go over here, progress says 100% and there is no failure message. Now, this is a bug in DMS actually. Nothing to worry about. The reason for that, it says everything is done. No failure message, 100% it is done. And actually there is no error, but it gives a error for a simple reason. You see this machine over here, no source endpoint. If you go to tables, it is having lot many things. proxy, server cost, RDS, sysinfo, and all these things, host name. What is the host name of this machine? Now, if you are actually interested, the short answer for that is, if you go to your network interfaces, you are going to find, what was the machine name? RDS, and it would be having some name over here, DB1. So this is the IP. 172.31.29.230, and similarly you would be having for this one 172.31.29.183. The problem honestly that is if you give the tags, it will be easy for you to understand. So if you give the tags over here, anyways, why the error came, the reason for that is it is saying host name. Source host name is what over here? 172, where are you? 172.31.29.230. So it took this. It is saying target, you also put it as 172.31.29.30. Target is saying that is not my database. So how do I do? So actually everything would have gone through, only this host name thing would have failed. But that is not a failure in true sense. That is always what happens in migration, especially in the databases. But like you have seen also, the task that you did or the tables that you migrated were already migrated. So that's a false alarm anyways. So in case if they ask you that what did you do during migration and how did you do, just tell them this, and any errors that you saw, tell them that yes, it was not actually an error, but yes, it was also telling me that indeed migration was not successful, but indeed it was successful. Now remember, the moment you do this, you also have to go and delete everything, especially the replication instance, because that's pretty expensive. And after that, the RDS or your relational databases. My deletion is happening. If you have any questions in migration, now ask me, or else I will go and complete RDS. Okay. Now, if you think that this went fast, unfortunately, this is how migration happens also. You can go watch the video again and rewatch the video again, or play the video x 0.25x, it will go slow in that case. Yes, Sayed. Sayed not audible.
So we migrate from one database to another database, like exactly which version to which version we did, like same type of databases we took, or different types?
In my case, I took same 5.7 to 5.7, and honestly, the thing is, you always do the migration of the same database only, no? You never migrate 5.7 to 5.8. Rather, what you do is, I will tell you, source itself, you migrate 5.7 to 5.8. Once that is done, then source is 5.8, target also you make 5.8. That is how you do. Okay. However, let me just complete. However, AWS doesn't say anything. AWS says you migrate 5.7 to 5.8, not a problem for me. From AWS perspective, it will do the migration. When you go and make a connection with target, you will see nothing is working. I mean, 5.7 to 5.8, it will work. You change from 5.7 to 8.0. That will not work. AWS will say successful. You go and do a health check of it, it will say failure. Now, please complete your question.
In future, for example, if we want to change from 5.8 to something 8 higher version, so might be compatible issues also will come.
Exactly.
Right?
That is why source itself you change from 5.8 to 5.9. First you do that in the source itself. See, target, you are migrating the data, right? Migration doesn't mean that I am changing anything. That is rewriting the code. That is rehosting. I am not rehosting the code. Whatever is in application 1 or in machine 1, I am putting it in DB2. If machine 1 only has 5.7, so target obviously will have only 5.7. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. But again, let me just tell once more, AWS doesn't have any problem. And to be honest, AWS can also migrate from one DB to other DB. I have done that, MySQL to PostgreSQL. But that I believe I was fortunate it worked, not always. AWS can do any migration to the next migration. The only problem is once you do a health check, it will fail. So you will say it is a failure. So ideally do migration from same version to same version. That is why, if you pay attention over here, if you click on create database, and you select MySQL, there would be a reason why AWS is doing this. AWS is not saying 5.7. It is saying 5.7.33, 34, 37, 38, 39, 40. There is a reason AWS doesn't say 5.7. It doesn't say 5.6, 5.8. It says these specific versions. So always look for the same versions only. Just completing it on one Now you will be confused, but still I will tell you. If you restore the database from S3, no, that is pretty generic. In that case, it will not ask you for exact version number. It will simply say MySQL, which you need, 565780. It doesn't say 56, 33, 35, 37, 39. So your question, let me complete it by saying 5733 to 5735 you want to do, you can either use DMS or you can use this also. Because for it, it doesn't matter. But yes, compatibility issues do come. But again, that is not a problem of AWS. That is your problem. You have done it that way. Okay. Okay, let me just see if this is done. Yes, and the endpoints, and let's delete them.
Yeah, one more thing, like so here if we are going to migration, right? So are we changing the server capacity of the database server, or just to
again, short answer is you whatever is source you put it as target. Long answer is you can always modify it. Okay, let me show you. This is what. Anyhow, I'll delete it in some time. So let me show. So what is this configuration over here? T3 large, right? You want to change it? Fine. Click on modify. You say your T3 large, 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM. I want to change it to 4 CPU. It is large. 2 by 8 it will be 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM. I will change you to 4 CPU, 32, 16 GB RAM. Fine. 416 done. Click on continue. Now pay attention. AWS will say maintenance will happen on December 20. So I can do it then for you. You say, now I want to do it now. Okay. Now this instance automatically in some time will change from T3 large to T3X large. But if you pay attention over here, the good thing is people generally ask a question, no, that Ankit, will it have any downtime? Have a look. Source is also working, target is also working, still modification is happening. That is the short answer. Is it having any downtime? No. Yes, Nagaraj, you have a question. Okay, I believe not. Fine. Okay, going back. So pay attention. Is there any downtime or something? No,
Yeah,
nothing.
did you
Yes,
hear me now?
Nagaraj. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
But
So yeah,
Ankit, but if you are
Himanshu, just a minute. Nagaraju first. Yes, Nagaraju.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. So actually my doubt is, yeah, whenever we are going to migrate this database from one to other means, so usually we'll go for lower version to newer version. No, so
No,
for
that
that
is
case
not
it will
migration. That is
work.
upgradation.
Upgrade, yeah.
That is not migration then.
So for that case, it will work this process, or do we need to go for again as an ETL?
No, I don't have an answer for that, honestly. I mean, it might work if it is something like 5733 to 5735, that will work. But 5740 to 800 will not work for sure. So I don't have an answer. That depends on source and target.
So for that
Generally
case,
assume it will not work.
And then ETL pipelines only we need to
yes, you need to do that. Or means what I generally do is I go and take a short dump of it. Straight away I create a Docker. I put off MySQL. I import the data, put it in Docker. I restart it. I tell one of the application to point to my Docker container. If they say everything is working, then same Docker I will take a dump and import it back to MySQL, whatever new version is there. Done.
Yeah. Okay.
Go back to the recordings and listen to what I said. You'll understand what.
Yeah. Thank you.
One question I believe someone had.
Yeah, actually in database, if you are resizing any sizing of that instance, it will not require downtime. But
No,
if you go for EC2, it's required downtime.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have tested.
That will happen. That will happen. Now over here, you see, it says no connection trying to reconnect. Can you tell me why this happened? Very quickly. This error is there, HY000. Okay, good. EC2, you have only answered the question. When you actually resize, what do? Stop, right? And start.
Yeah, stop and
right. So in this case, you restart the application, it is going to work. So actually, you see, database is not having a downtime. Your ENI is having a downtime, and you are connecting with Elastic Network Interface. Their downtime. That is it. Okay, fine. So any other question, anyone? I think is first I will have.
Yeah, I recently viewed a scenario based this thing.
Okay.
If in the case, if we have a two different systems, one is a source system, another is destination. If we want to migrate the data, only not tables and all those things, only data in the incremental order in a specific time.
You took some time, but I could have told you. So let's go back to DMS and I'll still give you a hint about that. If you go to DMS over here, no, I can still show you. Over here, in this one, if I go for JSON editor, you can go and tell me exactly what tables also you need. So if I had that source and target, if you go back to the recordings, you will see I gave something as percentile symbol, right? Where it gave a error initially,
Yes.
then I refresh the page. Instead of percentile, give the table name, it will migrate only that. Short answer.
Overall, we need to
Then
migrate
the
all the
percentile,
tables.
percentile is overall.
It will incremental or it will overall data will be taken from the source system and it will dump from the.
But I already
destination.
answered this while answering Falcon. I said it is streaming data.
Okay.
Streaming data as in I start reading the data and eventually I push it to target. Now, if this migration, now assume this, no, actually in client infrastructure, you have petabytes of data. How will I migrate in 1 second? Internet connectivity is only not that fast. So it goes on for 3 days, 7 days, 10 days. Eventually it happens. And also now, during the time when you are doing a migration, source is having the modifications. So that also AWS keeps a track of it. It will keep on doing that. We call it as the delta changes. AWS takes care of the delta changes also. That is why whenever you create this DMS, no, DMS is not like you go like I did now. It is not like this. In one shot it happens. Now, this continuously work for 7 days or 10 days. Eventually you say, source is also there, target is also their applications. Now you are pointing to endpoint 1. At this very moment, you do a flip to endpoint 2. They will do a flip and they will move to DB2. That is how it is done.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Then let me just end it by giving you a use case. How does migration happen? What we do know, we have various environments, obviously, dev, production, dev. Now, those of you who don't know, dev, SIT, SAT, staging, pre-prod and production. You can remove pre-prod and staging, you can replace it, but dev, SIT, SAT, ideally staging, pre-prod and production, or dev, SIT, SAT people also call it as UAT. So dev, SAT or UAT, then pre-prod or staging, and then finally production environment. So what we do is, obviously production environment will always point to the old one only. Eventually start migrating the data from pre-prod. You never touch prod, by the way. From pre-prod, you start migrating from pre-prod to dev. And dev points to DB2 now. Now your all the applications in dev will point to dev. Dev to DB2. Then SIT to DB2. Then UAT to DB2. Next, already the data is synced up anyhow, right? Next, you ask for downtime for some time. If you want, good. If you don't want, that is also fine. I generally prefer not going with production in real time and doing, but I have seen people doing that. Next, you go and simply create a DMS, database migration task with prod, connected with a lower environment, which is DB2, run a quick test on it, and then all your prod applications straight away will toggle to DB2. That is the use case, and that is how it is actually done in real time. So that's it about this. Let me end it by telling you few specific things. First thing, obviously, what if I accidentally delete it? The answer over here is, if I accidentally delete, I click on delete, it will say, no, you cannot delete it. So what if I want to accidentally delete? The answer is I cannot. But the reason for this is AWS is saying, see, you have something known as a deletion protection enabled. First, you will have to go and remove it. Now, if you do this, and how will you do? Click on modify. In the end, if you go, you will find the thing for deletion protection. Let it happen. Okay, in the end, you will find this. Click this and continue. The moment you do this, AWS will ask you two options. AWS will say that, see, next maintenance is going to happen on December 20th at this time. I can do it then. The reason is no downtime. But in case you want, you can put apply immediately, click on modify. And now if you want, you can always go and delete. And if you want to take a final backup, you can do. You want to retain the backup, you can do. And you will have to acknowledge, and then you will have to go and type delete me. So now if someone accidentally does this, types delete me and click on delete, yes, now the data has been deleted actually. But that's a problem for me. I don't want data to be deleted. Fair enough. What you could have done would be, you would have gone over here, you would have clicked on actions or clicked on modify, and you can go and take a backup. Don't want the backup like this. Fair enough. Go for your snapshots. Go and click on create snapshot. Tell them that I want to create a database backup for DB1. If you do this, it will go and create a backup for you automatically. Want to create an automated job for that, you can go and create a snapshot. Like I said, AWS, you don't have to worry about backups. AWS is taking. AWS indeed took 1635 started, 1635 completed. All the backups it has taken. Want to take it again, click over here, give the time, backup will be taken. That is known as a snapshot. Going back, DB1, if you see, is already T3x large. If I accidentally want to delete this, can't. So click on DB1, go to the very end. First modify. Kranti, for the course content, please contact Harsha.
Hello, Ankit. One general doubt. Data migration can be done like no SQL to no SQL
No,
or
no.
SQL
Correct. SQL to SQL, no SQL to no SQL. Yes. SQL to no SQL. The answer, I don't know, honestly. SQL to no SQL, it is not like you cannot do it. Let's take an example. MySQL to, I have done this actually long time back, but it was a disaster. MySQL to MongoDB, this, click over here, it will tell you, you have to go and create a mapping chart, you have to create data model, you have to create a pattern. Then you have to go and review the schema, you have to transform, you have to import, you have to do this. In a nutshell, it becomes so difficult that you never do the migration from SQL to NoSQL. You generally keep it SQL to SQL or NoSQL to NoSQL. And let me just also tell you that if I have to do from MongoDB to Cassandra, which is NoSQL to NoSQL, that also will become hell for me. So generally, we try to keep the databases as same as possible. But again, not mandatory. AWS can do the migration, but whether it is actually successful or not, that you have to see. Generally, more often than not, few things don't happen. And there is a very specific reason for it. You see, text field in or character field in Cassandra would be 12 bytes. Char field or character field in MongoDB would be 40 bytes. Or in MongoDB, length is 40. In Cassandra, length is 12. Okay, if you migrate, so if my name is very short, like Ankit Saxena, that would be migrated for sure, MongoDB to Cassandra. But if your name is large, like Harsha's Happy Learning, that if you don't know, it will only put HAR, SHA, apostrophe S and HA. So is migration successful? Yes, indeed the data was migrated. But in practical purpose, is it migrated? No, because I actually from 40 characters, I brought it down to 12. So actually character loss happened. So technically speaking, migration is successful, but actually it is not. For that reason, you try not to migrate from one database to the next one. Again, that is not a rule. Now, this is not to say that it will not happen. Fine. MongoDB is 40, Cassandra char is 12. Fine. In Cassandra, I will take text. Text is 256. In that case, source is less, target is more is never a problem. Source is 40 length. Target is 256 length. It will never be a problem for me. Even better if you are more, but source is more and target is less, that becomes a problem. For that reason, can you do? Yes. Whether it will be successful, you will actually have to go and test it out yourself. Anyways, going back, backups are known as snapshot, as we saw. You can also export the data in S3. Like I said, day before yesterday, anything that you are having inside AWS, if you have to store it somewhere, it goes to S3. So at the end of the day, you can import the data to S3 as well. If you have done, it will actually show up over here. That actually happens via snapshot only. So if you click over here, you select the snapshot. Over here, you can always export the data to S3 and give the name to it. Advantage, I don't want the data to be in AWS. I want to move it to Azure. What data? RDS data. So RDS, you can't. Let's not say you can't. RDS using DMS. Source become RDS. Target, you will give the IP address and the port number and the username and the password of Azure. It will do the migration. Good. Don't want that? Fine. Go create a backup. Backup comes as a snapshot. Snapshot, you can always go and export to S3. S3, it goes to that specific bucket. From that bucket, go to Azure. Inside Azure, install AWS CLI or command line interface. There, download the data and migrate the data. Done. That way also you can do. Depends on you how you want to do it. So that is export to S3. Automated backups you have already seen. Basically, you want to go and create automated backups. Query editor actually only works for a specific database, which is Aurora serverless. For that reason, I haven't told this to you, because for this reason, I actually created EC2. But now you might have said that inside RDS, why don't you go and do it yourself? The reason it only works on Aurora. So it's not used, but still, like I showed you Apache Cassandra. So basically, you can go and read and write the data from the console itself. Same thing you can do from query editor. If in case you are working on Aurora, run the queries in the browsers itself. Finally, reserved instances. The problem with EC2 with these servers are that these servers are pretty expensive. So what AWS says is, if you want to work, do a thing, take a build plan of 1 year or 3 years. If you take it of 1 year for whatever database you want, let's say I want it for MySQL. Where are you? This. And see, I want to take a, let's say T3 large. And I want to take it for 1 year or 3 years, and I will pay you everything right now. AWS will say, only pay me $3,056. If you feel this is expensive, by the way, let me show you. Like one of you said that you are working on EC2. R5 large, 3 years is $3,060. Very quickly, let's go and have a look at the pricing. If I am creating the database myself, machine is R5 large, right? Estimate and region was obviously Mumbai. Services, EC2. This. I want a dedicated instance, my own instance, and the instance I need is R5 large. This. Okay. R5 large, how much is it asking? $100 per month. Actually, this one, if you take, okay, $100 per month. $100 per month is $1,200 per year. 1,200 into 3 is 3,600 per year. How much are you paying over here? 3,060. How much are you paying over here? 3,600. So which one is cheaper? You already know the answer for that. So in case you take these instances, this will be pretty cheap for you. And basically it will cost you less if in case you go with this reserved instances. Finally come proxies. Proxies I would be telling you inside RDS actually. So if in case you want to go and create a connectivity from your own data center, that I would tell you when I am inside VPN. Events basically is if you created something, if you deleted something. The concept is someone deleted, who deleted. This is the event. Click on any one of them. It will tell you exactly who did it and how did they do it, from what IP address they did it. So in case if some loss happens, you can always go and tell that this person was responsible for this specific activity, whatever it was. So that's about RDS and that's about migration. We did it pretty fast. How much? 75 minutes tops. Good for you. But please tell this about this migration actually. So one of, okay, not here. So one of the person basically had an interview last week, and the interviewer only had the question about database migration. They said that, did you do migration? And this guy unfortunately didn't take the class. So he said that I haven't done the migration, but if he would have said, this was as easy as it was. So that's it. Any questions now if you have?
Ankit, Mahesh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So when we go for the interview, should we explain this MySQL or any of the database?
MySQL. I take any database, concept is same only.
Fine.
Oh, yes. I'll say if I were at your place, I would have used Postgres. Okay. Postgres. If not Postgres, then MySQL. If not this, then MariaDB. Any one of them, nothing else. Only this.
Sure.
This sequence. But concept remains the same.
Because what happened, right, when we try to migrate this particular data from our environment on-prem data center servers to the to the AWS, right? Each databases we are having nearly 4 TB or 5 TB. So when we went and do the migration, it was not successful. There was a lot
Why?
of
Do you
huge
have it still now? I can do it.
No, that file I don't have it over there. I've already here, but
Hmm.
it was confidential, right? I cannot share it
No,
out of
that
there.
is fine. The errors that you got, you could have shared with me. I would have told you.
Errors, I'll just share you because I requested the database team on that. Let me see
Yes,
what they're going
do
to
it.
do. It.
Because it's pretty straightforward. The only reason why it would have failed would be either there would be connectivity issue in the client data center. That is the biggest thing. Second thing, they would be having extreme firewalls installed. And for sure, someone would have. Are they going and modifying their network policies very frequently?
No, they're not going to touch any EC2, any AWS
No. In
environment,
the
policy.
AWS is fine. I have trust on AWS. I don't have trust on the client data center.
Client data center, I'll tell you because I'm not sure. Every time the ports will be blocked or firewall
Obviously,
will be
then
running on that.
no, this is the only thing that will happen. AWS will never do error. So for sure, someone is applying brain. They are going. So AWS will retry 3 times. It will retry. It will pause. Then again, you will tell them they will enable it. And when they enable it, they always have TTL on top of it. 1 hour, 2 hour. And obviously, by migration won't happen in 1-2 hours. No, if it is terabyte, it will take days. So that is why it would have failed. So I am telling you the error now only. The error would always say timeout.
Timeout, yeah.
100%
the request
timeout.
timeout happened at in between.
Correct.
And the
That
first 500 GB, it got successful. It got,
and after that, someone
migrated.
modified it. Yes, that's the error.
Yeah. After
that's
that,
the
it
only
got
error
terminated.
that can happen actually in this. Timeout will happen because as someone is the client data center. Unfortunately, people apply brain a lot. Why is this opened up right now? Block it. So that is why timeout will only happen. Elsewise, I have done myself petabytes of data. I have done. Never it happened a problem. But I took the control of this client also. This I said any data loss happen, I am responsible for it. But for 1 week, it is running like this only. It got migrated. So in that case, nothing can help, Then what my suggestion would be, ask them to, if they are so horrified by that, go and ask them to connect with DC, direct connect.
Direct connect, yeah.
It will take time.
But it will take 1 month to get our connections there. Right?
No, where is the client?
It is available in Ohio.
Oh,
and we are,
it will take
migrating a data center we are doing in US East, Central East one.
Okay. Then it will take time. So they can't use this local zone. There is something known as a local zone also. Okay.
No, I didn't ask that because there we have one more architect which has suggested that. So we kept quiet because it will not be.
If they are intelligent, then nothing can happen. No, AWS has something known as local zones now. Imported to the nearest local zone.
Yeah.
Once that is done, that doesn't require DC also, because your client would obviously be inside the same location. That doesn't require DC. It will happen directly from local zone, migrate to the data center. That can happen. I did
because
it for
Ankit,
one of them.
the cost will come down, Ankit, no, right? Cost factors comes, right? If the
it
cost
will be
comes,
very
automatically everyone will
very high. DC though is very high. For each data transfer, they will charge you then, and then it will cap it at 1 Gbps or 10 Gbps. You will obviously keep it at 1 Gbps. Then obviously migration will take more time.
Yeah.
So
we have explained them. We have told them. But
they won't
listen. We left it out. There's nothing in our pocket. Like we kept quiet. Let them come back on the same.
Obviously. Then if the clients, the only problem is, let me just stop recording.